Oh, you thought I wouldn't have something to say? Then you would be wrong. Shakur Stevenson and Turki seemingly at odds. In this video, I'm going to break down why I feel this way, what went on, and what this really means for Shakur Stevenson. Now, I already want to make this video a couple of days ago, but I've been real busy. A lot of stuff behind the scenes. Shout out to everybody supporting. Super thanks, cash apps. I see it. We working. That's all I can say. We working. But Shakur Stevenson, he made some recent statements that have painted a certain picture, we'll say. And I'm just gonna paraphrase what was said. But he says he's trying to fight William Zepeda, but Turki offered him a lower amount of money than was initially promised. Therefore, he's like, that's not gonna work. But then he also kind of took a shot at Turki and said, instead of Turki getting with me like man to man and being like, yo, this is this and this is that with the money, he says he is sending his quote towel boys to relay messages. Like, so I'm assuming like middlemen or whatever. Then Shakur Stevenson, he was at Ray Ford's fight where he was asked by a boxing reporter, what did you mean by that towel boy, towelman comment? And Shakur was like walking. You could tell he didn't really want to do interviews. At least that's what I got, the impression that I got. And he was like, F him. And then kind of kept it pushing. So he's like, uck him. Then I started seeing reports and rumors that Shakur, as a result, was not going to be featured on any more Ring Riyadh cards, any Turki cards. Like, I guess he would be more so on the Matchroom side of things because he signed with Eddie Hearn. Now, I don't know if there's any truth to this, but it seems like something is brewing behind the scenes. Now, as far as the details, they remain pretty much behind the scenes. You only have Shakur's side. Turki hasn't like done any interviews that I've seen where he's come out and cleared the air, if you will. So all we really have to go on is Shakur Stevenson's side. And he's saying that he was offered X amount of dollars to fight William Zepeda, and that number has since changed. And if I'm being honest, what Shakur Stevenson is saying makes sense. And I'm not saying it makes sense in the way of it's right. I'm saying it makes sense because rumor has it that Turki is not viewing Shakur Stevenson as like one of the marquee big players. He just did this deal with Dana White and TKO. They lured Canelo over there for a 4-fight deal. So in the grand scheme of things, I don't think he's looking at Shakur Stevenson as somebody who majorly, stylistically, would move the needle for what he got going on, especially when he has a working relationship with Terrence Crawford as well. And people complain about Shakur Stevenson, his style, say he's boring, resume is not the best, these types of things. So from that aspect, it makes sense. But on the contrary, if you tell somebody that if you promise a certain amount of money, you got to deliver. Your word has to mean something. So I understand where Shakur is coming from in that regard. He's like, F it, F him. We'll just go to purse bid. Now, I don't know if he have better luck with the purse bid because he doesn't have his own company that would be able to bid that I'm aware of with the boxing promoter's license and all that. So you still have to rely on these Turkis and Eddie Hearns and stuff to get that purse bid going. But I mean, I understand from the simple fact of if you said you were giving me $10 million to fight Zepeda, don't be an Indian giver and be like, nah, about that 10 million is now 4 million. And I seen there was an article and it said something like Shakur might have to take a pay cut for the Zepeda fight to make it happen. I don't know, man. I really hate the whole financial. I mean, of course, I'm a content creator. My number one job is to curate content for you guys. But I hate that the game is coming to this where it's just like a lot of kind of meandering and like looking into pocket watching type of stuff where now you have fans opining, is Shakur worth this? Is he not worth this, that, and the third? I really don't prefer that, but it comes with the territory when we're talking about prize fighting. These fighters are fighting for a prize. So I don't too much personally like to deal with, oh, this person's not worth it and stuff. Occasionally I'll give my opinion if I feel it's relevant. So I don't know. All I know is if you promise me, I'm telling me, I'm not talking Shakur anymore. If you promise me X amount of dollars to do a service, you gonna have to come up off of what you agreed for or higher. You know what I mean? Like no one's gonna complain if it's more money, but it's not gonna be less and then expect me to do the same exact job. There has to be some kind of modification. Like if someone says, hey, do an ad for me, blah, 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 this is the rate, and we agree to that, and then you start adding on stuff, no, that's not inclusive in the rate that we agreed to. You know what I mean? So I understand Shakur from a business perspective, but Shakur, he might be in some deep waters because the other side of that is, what can he do? You know, if Turki's the money man and he's kind of facilitating these fights, because the reality is nobody in boxing at this point is willing to lose money hand over fist like Turki is losing money on some of his events. The Sphere, Crawford, Madrimov. Eddie Hearn tells you, he does interviews and he's like, I'm not putting up that for that particular fight. So you need a partner like Turki. Now, the other thing that is very suspect to me is the sheer fact that you guys told me the Saudis, oil money, tycoon money, yada, 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 they had unlimited funds. And now a lot of these notions are looking a bit funny, right? Richardson, Hitchens. T.O. said that he was trying to fight Hitchens. Hitchens said he was trying to fight T.O. Two New Yorkers. Could have put this on the Times Square card, right? With Ryan and Rowley and Devin and Ramirez. But it fell apart, according to T.O., over $2 million because Richardson Hitchens wanted a $2 million purse. To me, if you guys are saying Saudi, they're throwing money and they could lose $10 millions on Crawford Madrimov, it doesn't make sense that you have fights that are falling apart for the $2 million that would enhance the card, right? Same thing with this Shakur Stevenson. It seems like an unnecessary roadblock if you're made of money, you know? So I'm not really understanding how this stuff is working. 1 minute you guys say he has Turki and Riyadh and Ring. They have so much money they're willing to lose, but it looks like they're cutting the purse string. Turki also said he wanted to make pay-per-views $20, but then they just came out the price point. Ryan fight card is $60, and then Canelo fight card is $60, right? And then you can bundle it to save a little bit of money, but it's still like $90, even doing that. You know what I mean? So the money's looking funny in the light. Shakur Stevenson, he's saying he's willing to wait it till it goes to purse bid, and it looks like he has an estranged relationship with Turki, which is a bit bizarre because Shakur, and this is his fault, he was tooting that horn and he was all about Turki. And then you guys do one fight against an electrician together, and now it looks like the relationship is already soured over money. So to me, it's not making sense. Let me know what you guys think, but we'll see what happens next if they can get this Zepeda fight done. But Shakur needs a big fight.